Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well this evening. Tonight I've got some terrifying Dogman encounters for you guys. Before we get into those encounters, a brief announcement. I just posted a new video on my creepypasta channel, so if you guys like creepypastas, go check that out. The link is in the description. I'm sure you'll definitely enjoy it. Also, I'm a commercial-free channel, and my Patreon and PayPal link is a way of helping keep this channel growing and going. Also, my merch link is in the description below. And with that, guys, let's get on with these encounters, shall we? Our first Dogman encounter of the evening. This happened around 1920 to 1930. My late great-grandfather was in Tennessee hunting for raccoons at night with his buddy. He was armed with a double barrel and his buddy had a .22. With them were 2 dogs. They were deep into a trail along a fence when they heard a crunch above them. They looked up to see a large black animal about 7 feet long with a tail, watching them from a tree, silent. My great-grandfather's buddy fired a single shot at the creature, and it completely tanked it, jumped down about 15 feet, and went berserk. My great-grandfather said it had jaws like a dog, and it was strong enough to lift a 40-pound dog off the ground and kill it with a chomp. A 12-gauge round to the shoulder slowed it down, but not for long. It swipes the other dog, killing it almost instantly. My great-grandfather's friend tries to run, but the animal swipes at him, hardly nicking his back and tearing his shirt half off his body. Great-grandfather fires his last shot into the animal's stomach and throws down his gun. The animal has most of his attention on my great-grandfather's buddy, who is holding a lantern out in front of him, and it's growling like nothing he's ever heard before. My great-grandfather takes this chance and yanks out a fence post right out of the ground and starts beating the animal. He clubs it over the head and in the spine, killing it with a few strong hits. It whimpered like a dog. After better examination, they described the animal as having a big wolf head, big old paws with claws like a bear, and a skinny but strong body. It has long black hair and a tail like a puma. They abandon the hunt and gut the animal so they can drag the body about 2 miles back to the cabin where my great-grandfather lived. This is when the story gets weird. Apparently, they take it to the guy with a scientific background in zoology or biology or something. The man eventually gets back to them, telling them to stay out of the forest at night, with no explanation of what the animal is. This story was retold to me by my grandfather, so some things might be twisted by memory, but my grandfather swears full truth on his part. One more important detail about the story is my great-grandfather's position on the identity of the animal. Him and his buddy, along with my great-grandmother, who had seen the body, are adamant on the fact that this was not a bear or a panther, and the head was just like a wolf's. That's the part that gets me. Bears are predatory, cats use claws a lot, but wolves not so much. But they are sure it had a wolf head. If anybody has any suggestions, please comment below. Our second Dogman encounter of the evening. Southwest Montana, Hebgen Lake, Horse Butte area. Nighttime, really bright moonlight. It was crouching on a giant branch of a pine tree eating something. At first, I thought it was a bear until I saw that it was perfectly balanced on its hind legs. That's when it growled and threw whatever it was eating and then turned and stared at me for a couple of seconds. It growled again and jumped off about 12 feet down, landed on its bipedal legs, looked at me once again, and bolted into the woods. I didn't bother to see anything else. I jumped on the quad and took off. Our third Dogman encounter. When I was 18 years old, I was visiting a friend who lived out in the boonies. She had 20 acres of land, horses, and had no neighbors at all living around her. During the visit, I helped her with some outside chores that took almost all day. It was around 6:30 p.m. We had just finished working. She was about 50 feet away from me with another person chatting, and I was looking for a good place to walk my dog. As I stood there looking at some open field with a large bluff of trees behind it, my eye caught a glimpse of a dark black figure hiding behind some trees. It stood upright and seemed curious about me. I had no idea that the Dogman existed back then, so my initial thought was, why is someone wearing a fur costume in the middle of nowhere? I stared at it for a while as it stared at me. It had a snout like a dog, long straggly furry arms, long fingered hands. I couldn't see its legs or tail because of the shrubs and the tree. Now I know about the Dogman, and I do believe that's what I witnessed that day. Our fourth Dogman encounter of the evening. A very, very good friend of mine was working on a ranch in Montana in 1986. He was herding up some horses and went over a hill with a forest on either side with a clearing to his left. The horses were uneasy, which brought him to notice something in a clearing on his left. There, squatted over an animal, was this huge, gray, red-eyed dog thing. What really stood out to him was the three really razor-sharp, long claws. The light was shining through the trees on it, and it turned and looked right at him, and then turned back to eating its prey. I always believed my friend and his description as clear as day in his own mind. I've never heard anyone else talk about three claws, though, so that's why I always listen to other people's Dogman stories. Our fifth Dogman encounter of the evening. My uncles were attacked by a creature going through the jungle area of Mexico in the 70s. They were driving a big cargo truck at night when something jumped on the back of the truck. They didn't stop to see what it was because there were no lights on the road. My uncle on the passenger side saw this devilish creature that looked like a dog climbing closer to the cabin of the truck. They both said this thing was huge. My uncles were screaming in fear when they saw it and said they tried to shake the truck but it wouldn't fall off until they hit it against a tree on the opposite side of the road. They kept driving all night and into the morning, all freaked out. When they got to a gas station in the village, they saw gash marks and animal prints on the windows where it was trying to get in and on the back of the trailer. They told their story to some villagers and farmers, and they told them about dogmen like demons that roam the area. And they weren't the only ones attacked before. They were so freaked out that hair on both of their arms still raise when they tell their experience. They said they never drove through Central America besides the cities and villages at night ever again. I wish I could have recorded them telling the stories, but they have been dead for a little bit now. Our sixth Dogman encounter of the evening. I remember years ago when I was about 13 running from bullies up our woodland in Northern Ireland. I climbed an old oak tree, only one in the forest, but it really had good cover. You couldn't see me when I was up in it. I hid there all night long. I was that scared, but it was about 2 in the morning when I heard growling and something sniffing around the bottom of the tree. I thought at first it was just a real big dog until it stood up on 2 legs. It was huge, bigger than my father, and he was touching 6, 7. And it had hands with claws, not paws, and pointed ears and a long snout like a German shepherd has, but only longer, and its eyes glowed like looking in a mirror. Now, I told a few friends and teachers what I had seen, and they made fun of me. Even the teachers asked if I saw pink elephants as well, but I know what I saw, and no one can tell me any different. Our seventh Dogman encounter of the evening. On my way home from my boys' basketball practice, our headlight hit a black cloudy mist moving across the road, and it turned into a large, standing up on two legs wolf. We were horrified. For months I had nightmares about this. My mind just had a hard time trying to comprehend what this thing was. As our car passed it, we got a very good look at it. The feeling of fear was so intense for weeks. It happened 2 miles from my house, and I live in the country on Highway 72 in Bollinger County, Missouri. We didn't tell anyone but my husband because if I wouldn't have seen this, I wouldn't have believed it. Our eighth Dogman encounter. I had one of these creepy things, Dogman, jump or fly in front of my motorcycle at 1 a.m. in August of 2017 in Rockingham County, Virginia. It was a rural area between two cornfields. I know what I saw, and it was unreal and inches in front of me while I was going 60 miles an hour. I just missed it by inches. Wow, guys. Story 1. Completely insane. I loved that story because that's 3 generations ago, a great grandfather. So that's just amazing. The 1920s and 30s. It's just wow. And those 7 other little snippets of Dogman encounters. God, I love those. They happen so quick, and then people just, you can really read the fear in some of these writings. It brings me back to my encounter. I'll never ever forget that day. I remember those eyes vividly in the darkness. I remember the fear that those eyes and those noises just struck in my heart and my friends. And we were idiot kids, 17, 18 years old. That's 20-something years ago. That's complete insanity, guys. Complete insanity. I just want to thank everybody for all of the support. You guys helped me hit 2,000 subscribers, and I'm growing. Also, if you guys like creepypastas, I said it before, I'm going to say it again. I just did a really good one on my other channel. It's about a demon called Windy. Go check it out. I'm sure you'll like it. With that, guys, have a good night. I got some more stories coming for you. I also have some really good skinwalker encounters coming too. So, thanks, guys. Have a great night.